Greetings, friends, and welcome to another episode of The Mistake Zone, your weekly dose of our lives and the mistakes within them. My name is Jaron Wade. Joining me, as always, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Matt Alba. Hey, Matt.
Yo.
How are you doing?
Yo, I'm doing good.
Matt, that's great. We're also joined by another one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Rakush. Hey, Rakush.
Jaron?
How are you doing?
Honestly, I'm doing a lot better now, Jaron. Glad to see that you're alive. You made it out of the Fan Expo line. So, yeah. How'd you do it? How'd you get out?
Guys, I got out through pure sheer will because had to come back and talk to you guys about how much I've missed good internet. Boys, as someone without good internet anymore, every time I play Fortnite and that ping reaches a triple digits, because I'll be honest, the modem is on the other side of the house, I weep. I weep, boys, because let's just say Mistake Zone HQ used to have, fiber direct to house. And Matt, Rakush, you don't know what you have until it's gone. And the fact that I can no longer download. Okay, so I was going to get into this game a bit later, just as a quick aside, but Rakush, as someone with a PS5, have you noticed that when you have to, let's say, install a game or install an update, you kind of need, the allocated space of said game, but also essentially that space times 2 for it to actually hold the update and then install it properly, where I feel like every time I had to update with my PS4, say something was 80 gigs, I'd need like 160 gigs for it to facilitate that download. And with Stellar Blade being a game that is, I believe, partially published by Sony, and that extends to the Steam version as well, every time I've received a new Stellar Blade update, whether it be 5 gigs or so, I essentially had to uninstall the game and just reinstall the game fresh. And that was never an issue when I was on that good internet. And as someone without the good internet right now, that's a pain. That's a pain, and I'm no longer playing Stellar Blade. Matt, how's your internet situation right now?
I mean, my internet situation is about as stable as usual, I'm just glad that I'm not dropping, every time that I'm playing an online game like I used to be.
How about you, Rakush? How's your online gaming? I need to live vicariously through people with good internet.
I mean, I don't play online a lot, so don't really know. But I do have a 3.5.
Matt, did Rakush sound like a robot to you, or was that just me and my bad internet?
Yeah, so Rakush sounds like a robot to me.
Okay, no. I was actually messaging him about this.
Oh, I think Rakush just dropped, Matt.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, well, man, I really want ice cream, but I don't want to have to drive to get ice cream.
I feel that, Matt. I feel that. We moved all of the I had some freezer stuff at my parents' still, and I know there's ice cream at my parents', and it feels bad. It feels real bad.
I mean, you don't live that far from them. Can't you just bring it in a cooler? Or
That's
you might not even need a cooler if you drive really fast.
No, I just keep forgetting about it. So, and there's technically a gas station like literally around the corner, but it's too late now. Matt.
But gas station ice cream is too expensive. That's why I wish we had Konbini culture.
Man, I hate how the dollar store isn't really a dollar anymore, because I was in a Dollarama the other day and they have, a cooler with like drumsticks and ice cream sandwiches. And
at a dollar store?
Those are pretty pricey. Yeah, by the checkout. And I was like really excited because I feel like, Matt, I understand that what the dollar store is right now. Like I'm no stranger to buying energy drinks at $2.50, but I feel like that's the most I would pay for ice cream from a dollar store, and it's more than $250, so I didn't buy ice cream that day, and that made me feel bad.
I think it depends on the ice cream. I think I would pay up to $350 for like a packed ice cream thing product.
So how much would you pay for $350 for a drumstick?
$350 for a drumstick at like, you know, a normal place. And like if it's, you know, you got that amusement park markup, I'd pay maybe like $5 for it.
Oh, that's rough, Matt. I feel, you know me, as I try to be frugal as much as I can these days, but if I'm at a theme park, I don't think I could actually buy anything from a theme park without feeling bad.
That's why I don't go to theme parks. I'm just gonna get sick there, and I'm gonna spend way too much money.
Big fair. Oh, that reminds me, I should check if there's a new Discord quest that I can do.
Oh man, what is this Wendy's Wednesday avatar?
That was a pretty long video you had to watch, but good thing I had Uma Musume on my phone. Matt, been playing on my phone now, which makes me feel bad.
Jared, I prefer playing it on the phone. Oh, yo, what's up?
Sorry about that, guys. I think this is better now.
Hey, Matt, look, it's this guy. This guy is back.
This guy. I'm back. Okay.
He's back.
Rikush, are you still a robot that is relying on the algorithm to pick your fantasy critic picks?
I mean, I'm not the robot, but yes, it's still auto-picking for me, I guess.
Oh, man.
I actually need to check that. I haven't looked at that in a while.
You still have a few picks. If you want to know what I'm talking about, you can search the Real Mistake Zone League on Fantasy Critic and see how our standings are going. And man, Matt, Matt, a lot of negatives on your scoreboard.
Yep. Oh man, I really thought that Dragon Drive wouldn't be pulled down because of like, I don't know, like optics of rating a wheelchair basketball game poorly.
Oh man, but that your -6 points for Dragon Drive is followed by your -9 points for Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which I think is pretty nice. But
nice.
Nice.
Want to know what else is nice, Matt? Our time in our high school drama club or drama class.
Oh, that is not where I thought this conversation was going.
But someone else who has fond memories of the dramatics. Rikush, I believe last week you introduced a new segment. I believe you workshopped it with Matt. But I guess this is the first week I get to experience you being dramatic. Rikush, what do you have for us this week?
What a wild segue there. Wow. Jaren, thank you for throwing it there. So the segment is going to be called Be Dramatic until I can think of a better name. So let's just go with Be Dramatic. Matt, I'm going to get you to pick a number. This week it's between 1 and 23. A little bit of a teaser, might be between 1 and 25 by the time we record the next time around. But 1 and 23, I'm going to pick one of the shows, and I'm just kind of going to talk about it for a little bit. And I will tell you guys where to find it, all of that as well. So, Matt, what you got for me?
All right, Rakesh, I want you to tell me about drama number 12.
Drama number 12. Let's see what I've got as number 12 on my list today. Oh, okay. It is Weeb adjacent. So, Matt Alba, nice. You have picked The Files of Young Kindaichi Series 5, which can be found on Disney+. This show, I am pretty sure, is from 2022 and is the 5th version of a live-action drama that they've done for Young Kindaichi. Kindaichi being, of course, the popular sort of like mystery manga that has been running for a very long time, focusing on different iterations of Kindaichi, but this show here is taking a look at the high school version of Kindaichi and his friends and the cops that he works with. For each of these series, I think what I'm going to do is I am going to read the blurb off of what is written on my drama list just to make sure that I'm at least being as accurate with explaining the plot as possible. Keep in mind this list of 23 is something that 25 as of next week, hopefully, is something that I've been building on for like a year and a half. So, some of these things, not the freshest. But The Case Files of Young Kindaichi. Kindaichi Hajime is a high school student and a private detective with an IQ of 180. He solves murder cases that are riddled with difficult clues. Kindaichi Hajime works with his childhood friend Nanase Miyuki and Kinmochi Isamu. Kinmochi Isamu is now the chief inspector of the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, and this is adapted from the manga series The Kindaichi Case Files, written by Kunari Yozaburo and illustrated by, also written by Amagi Seimaru and illustrated by Satofumiya. So if you guys want to go look up the source material, you can do it that way. This one's an interesting series. I did say when I was teasing this last week, there will be some good, there will be some bad, there will be some just fine. I think this is one of the few that is, for me, probably leaning towards more bad. But if you have more context or like you have a little bit more positive things to say about the franchise, this might be something you might actually enjoy a little bit more. I think the mistake I made with this one was kind of jumping into this like as the first live action Kindachi series that I watched. And so it's a little bit tough to kind of like, judge this just as sort of like the perfect introduction to the franchise. I will be honest, part of this also is kind of an issue with me, right? Like, and I guess I'll kind of start by opening up this conversation to you guys a little bit, but have you guys ever jumped, I guess, into an iteration or an adaptation of a series that is not the first one? It's maybe like a remake or a sequel to something, and you don't quite know how to judge these things? I guess, Jaren, like, have you ever experienced anything like that?
I probably have, especially, I feel like this is something common when in the video game world, especially when you have a lot of anticipated sequels and just through word of mouth, just through communal hype, that a lot of people end up jumping into franchises that might be, 2, 3, or even 4 games deep, where it's something that I know I've done in the past, especially when it comes to gaming. And like, I'll be honest, even though it's not really the same, when my partner watches something, I'm usually jumping in like 3, 4 episodes behind as well. And you kind of, I feel like with a good story, you're able to build up kind of an understanding of what's happening, the plot points, all the major players and whatnot, where as long as it's strong enough to not necessarily recap everything, but at least establish enough for you to grasp onto, to comprehend at least a general idea of what's going on, it's usually an okay starting point wherever you jump in. But Matt, I feel like this might be something that we have talked about in the past, or at least games we've talked about where we haven't played the predecessor.
I mean, when it's coming to games, guys, the latest game in the series is always the most accessible game in the series to jump in. That's a perfect time for you to join in on this franchise and make those shareholders some money. But I don't know. I feel like if it's something more like a TV show, I tend to not do this sort of thing because, like, I'm definitely the type that will research something before I watch it to know if it's even worth my time in investing. Like, I don't really do much particularly like blind watches, especially on part 2s or later of a series.
Yeah,
I think that's fair. I think what's unique about this one is this is on Disney Plus, by the way. Sorry, that is a key part of the segment, is saying where you can find this. I think going into it blind is sort of the exercise for me, unless it says like a big fat 2 or 3 or something in the series name, because then obviously that's a sequel to me, right? And like, I want to watch the first part. In this case, though, it's just the 5th live action series with no relation to the previous 4 or to any of the live action series, except for the fact that the characters are the same and it's from the same franchise.
It's like Zelda, yeah.
I guess so, yeah. Honestly, what's a good comparison for this is kind of the things you're asking about with Star Trek and with Strange New Worlds, where do you need to know anything from the previous series to watch this one? I would say no, but there is certainly a sense that, like, at least a sense I got is there are enough franchise mainstays. Like, the one I definitely caught on to was, like, he's got his tagline, which translates to on the name of my grandpa. Sounds way cooler in Japanese, but yeah, like, those things exist here. I don't know all of those things that do exist. I don't know what are Easter eggs. I don't know what some of these familiar things might be. And so it's a little bit difficult for me to be able to kind of speak to how this series is as an adaptation. But as a standalone, I think I can speak a little bit to this, which, like, I'll jump into a little bit here. But at least, like, one or two good things before I jump into the rest. Outside of sort of like the familiarity or the lack of familiarity I had, I will say the series does a decent job introducing you to the characters. I don't know if it does a great job explaining you or introducing you to what is the general concept of Kindaichi. A big part of the concept is that he's not just solving murders or like mysteries, he's solving mysteries to do with the supernatural and to provide what is a rational, non-supernatural explanation for some of the things that are commonplace and happening. And that is at its core what makes this series unique and, say, separate from a Detective Conan or something like that. But I do think that, like, as far as just like the concept itself is concerned, it took a little bit more reading up for me to kind of understand everything that was going on with this series. The online discourse around Series 5 has kind of intrigued me enough to potentially look up like some of these other live action series down the road. Maybe once I'm like caught up on some of the things that are available through legal streaming platforms, I might check out what's actually available for Kindaichi online afterwards. But as far as like this series is concerned, I honestly just kind of found that, and maybe this is just how like some of these mystery dramas are in general, but like my experience with this was it was just a little bit too schlocky to personally enjoy it to the level that maybe someone more familiar with the series might have been able to enjoy it. And I think with a series like this, when you're not able to suspend your disbelief, I don't think you can enjoy it. And I think I was more consumed by trying to figure out if these were like, you know, lore accurate, for lack of a better term, or like, you know, if the characters were staying true to what's in the source material and stuff, for me to be able to truly appreciate if like the reveals and the explanations and stuff were actually good or not, which is a little bit of a cop-out answer to give for one of the first series I'm talking about. But I did have a difficult time kind of following along with this one, which I think is a good lesson for me to take away from watching this series, is that maybe I should do what you're saying you do, Matt, which is research things up a little bit more before jumping right into it, even if that goes in the face of what this whole watching TV show experiment that I'm doing is. I also kind of think that like one of the things that made it difficult for me to kind of suspend my disbelief is that the explanations are so fantastical and borderline ridiculous that I was like, when you're not able to be fully immersed in a show like this, I don't think I could truly appreciate those explanations in a live action setting where like you're more rooted in reality than you would be in like an anime or a manga, for example. Like if I saw this in the anime or manga, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. But the fact that it's in a live action makes some of these elements like a little bit more fantastical in a way where in the year 2025, admittedly the show came out in 2022, but in the year 2025, a little bit tough for me to suspend that disbelief. So that is the first show, Case Files of Young Kindaichi. Not going into all the details around the series, because I think it's a little bit tough to talk about the plot points when, like, Jaren and Matt, you guys haven't watched it. So just kind of keeping some of these talking points a little bit high level here. I will say, Worth a Shot is probably where I'd put this one. I'm still sort of, like, internally brainstorming how I want to do the recommendations for these series. But, like, I don't think this is a must-watch. I also don't think it's a fully passable show. Like, I don't think you skip on this entirely. because I do think the gimmick is interesting enough that if within an episode this feels like it's something you want to keep watching, I think you'll know pretty quickly. And so I would say give it a shot. It's on Disney Plus. It's a very quick watch as well. From what I remember, it's something like 10 episodes over one season, but also each episode is like at most 50 minutes long. And honestly, maybe read up on it a little bit before you watch it, because potentially what might happen is you might get the perspective of someone that is more familiar with this franchise, who might be able to give you a little bit more insight into whether this is accurate or not, if that is something that matters to you. Guys, you gonna give it a shot?
No, Goosh, no, I'm not.
I'll stop asking that question as of next week.
Honestly, man, not sure where you find the time to watch all this drama, but
because my life outside of that, Sharon, is drama free.
Fair enough. But Rikush, you having a list of 25, dramas that you've watched is giving me the tummy rumblies, because I'm barely hanging on to all the shows that I am trying to watch in between my Gacha Hell and Fortnite. But
so
I feel like, what's up?
If you're playing Gacha, you could just have the show on in the background.
That doesn't pay the proper respects to both the Gacha game and the episode.
That's where you're going with that. Okay,
Rikush,
fair.
I'm not a second screen watcher. I like to appreciate the art that I watch, such as boys. I have caught up with some of the anime that we've talked about in the past. And Rikush, have you caught up, or have you been keeping up with the latest season of Dandadan?
I have been, but I think I haven't watched episode 9, which, if I remember correctly, is the latest.
Yes, episode 9, I Want to Rebuild the House. I feel like the last 2 episodes, just kind of real quick, episode 8, or for season 2, I believe that was You Can Do It, Okaroon, and then episode 9, I Want to Rebuild the House. I feel like from just a visual standpoint, both episodes were really just visually appealing, especially when it comes to all the different combat scenarios. I think episode 8 in particular, when it is Okaroon and Ira fighting the different composers, just the fact that that episode is primarily in black and white, aside from the red splashes on Okaroon or the pink splashes on Ira, in between just the fight choreography, I thought it was just a good spectacle overall. There were some dicey moments that I noticed from Ira with some of her kind of running transitions that weren't, I wouldn't say the highest quality drawings of her, but I feel like given everything happening in that episode overall, I think I give that a pass. But I'm just really not surprised, but I'm kind of glad that they've been able to keep up the production all throughout this season in particular as well. And episode 8 in particular, again, even with so little use of color, for it to actually stand out in a way and still have everything, not blend into one another, especially with most of it being black and white, I really did enjoy. And then with the latest episode, just the fight choreo. So, of course, episode 8 ends off with Evil Eye and Okaroon about to kind of go at it. And we do see that in full, at least in the first third of the episode, which, again, really well done. And I don't know, I've just been kind of enjoying it. Where, Rikush, with the composer episode, did you have any thoughts on it?
To kind of like build on the black and white stuff that you're saying, sometimes black and white can come across a little bit, well, for lack of a better term, black and white, right? But I do think they did a really good job with the shading and sort of still adding layers of shadow and effect, and making sure that it didn't just kind of feel like as simple as we make it sound. The way the reds popped, the way the colors popped, I think was a big part of it too. And I think also just kind of like the choreography being synced in with the music and like, you know, just kind of making everything feel like a complete package was really awesome. So yeah, I really enjoyed that episode. Jaren, just to kind of interject, I think we should acknowledge this, but the whole Hayashi and X Japan thing that's been going on since that episode. So we spent a few weeks back talking about how cool that whole sort of like visual K segment was, and it is still awesome. Apparently in Japan, it became a big story that the original band that inspired the look and the sound for Hayashi were apparently not consulted for this. And like,
yeah, I did see that floating around as well.
Yeah, by North American standards, I think it's a proper homage, but by Japanese laws and standards, it seems like that was a bit of a no-no. And so like the production staff had to put out this like apology and stuff like that. So I think we should acknowledge that a little bit. Although I personally don't think it was all that similar. I can understand that like those laws and standards are not in the country that I live in. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But kind of building off that, I remember watching the Evil Eye movie and then having the directors talk about how music would really influence the season, and for it to, you know, have just ties to music, especially through the band or this composer episode. I think all the music implementation has been really well done, you know, faux pas aside, but I really did enjoy it. And even just the fight choreo going into episode 9, again, just a really big spectacle. Really recommend. These characters remain, I don't know, with each episode that passes in season 2, that balance between slice of life, that romance between Momo and Okarun, and still being able to play around with all these different, you know, yokai and supernatural aspects. I feel like it's a really good blend that if you were maybe wanting to see more shonen, or you wanted to see more slice of life, if you lean into a camp more heavily, it might be a bit off-putting, but I feel like for someone like me, it strikes the perfect balance, and it's something that I look forward to every week. And speaking about also checking out something on the weekly, I know, Rikushi, you haven't been keeping up with Sakamoto Days, but we are in the second season right now. And so this is essentially, I'm not sure how much of the manga you guys read, but this is coming into the JCC school arc. And we do meet some new characters while Taro and Shin are taking the entry exam. And Matt, how do you feel about essentially when anime or just programming in general, Saved by the Bell, the new class, a bunch of your favorite show, essentially?
Like
is that something where you drop, or where a few main characters are benched for new characters?
Honestly, it depends on the main characters. Like, you know, going back to idol culture, you know,
yep.
I follow a lot of groups that kind of have the rotating members system, and once that one key like member, character, whatever, like in show or in the group leaves, it pulls a lot of my interest out of the show or group.
Fair. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, with this current arc, we see Lu and even Haisuke or Haisake being benched for Akira and Mafuyu, where Rikushi, I'm not sure if you remember these characters from the manga, but man, as a certified Lu fanboy, for her to be replaced by essentially another daughter, like an even more so daughter stand-in for Taro, I don't know. It's getting too much for me. But I know we talked about it when we first started talking about Sakamoto Days, but I feel like with the latest, or at least the last few episodes, I think the fight choreo has gotten a lot better compared to what I I was kind of criticizing from the very first episode of season 1, where it's a lot more action packed. It's more, it's gotten to the point where that slice of life aspect isn't really there anymore. We went straight from the serial killer arc to now this kind of assassin school arc as well, where I think it really depends how Akira and to a lesser extent Mafuyu are going to be presented. But I'm still having fun with it. I'm just sad that my characters aren't there anymore, especially when you still see Liu, especially when you still see Heisuki in the title card, but them not appearing. So we all know who the real central characters are now. But I believe there's a few more episodes before the summer season ends, but still looking forward to them. And finally, for my check-ins, Matt, I know you talked about this when it aired, but I have to prepare for the Demon Slayer movie Infinity Castle coming out on September 12th. And boys, I finally caught up with Demon Slayer, finished the latest season, and Matt, I know you raved about it on the Mistake Zone, but time to echo you a couple of months late. But man, that explosion scene in the final episode of, I guess it's season 4, was wild. But I have a question for you, Matt. Maybe it's because I missed it, or I'm getting kind of confused of where things happen during the manga. But I know early on in this season, they kind of made a big deal where, Shinobu was asked that she was asked to work with, what's her face? Was it Lady
Oh, yes. Tamayo or something like that?
Yeah, Tamayo or whatever. The Lady Demon, the mom fill-in for Nesco. But I feel like even that was the cliffhanger when the crow asked her to, hey, you need to go to the Demon Slayer camp to work with this young, scientist, essentially. And I feel like that ever since those two like semi-cliffhangers, it wasn't touched upon on the season, correct? Like, I feel like I missed an episode because out of nowhere,
not really.
out of nowhere, the lady demon scientist just comes in the end and stabs the big bad. And I thought, thought we were teasing her coming to essentially the Demon Slayer core. But she just appears out of nowhere, and so does Shinobu. And Matt, was that like a later chapter? Is that a flashback? Do you remember where that's supposed to take place? Because I feel like I'm missing an episode here.
I mean, I think it happens in the correct spot. But I guess I did have the context of what was happening at the moment. But I don't think that the anime really did do too much explaining on what was happening there. I am kind of expecting it to happen during more explanation to be happening during the Shinobu fight in Infinity Castle, or possibly kind of like the final fight against Muzan to more explain what's happening with the poison.
Fair. And man, Infinity Castle coming out in 2 weeks essentially. Beefy Boy Timer, I believe that's over 2 hours. Boys, are we going to see this movie in 4DX?
Man,
right off the rip.
I feel like I only want to really watch movies in 4DX if I'm going to go all the way to a theater.
Fair.
Is this movie coming out in 4DX?
I would hope. I need to look at... Guys, ever since I saw that Dragon Ball movie in 4DX, I'm just going to assume a lot of shonen adjacent or shonen anime movies will be in 4DX.
I feel like if Dragon Ball can make it into 4DX, Demon Slayer will probably be in 4DX.
Not 4DX or not. Are you gonna go to the theater for Infinity Castle, or are you just gonna wait till that's on streaming?
I mean, if you're gonna go, I'll go, but I'll probably wait for streaming.
Okay, fair enough. Rikush, I never really checked in with you. What's your relationship like with Demon Slayer?
I actually haven't watched it outside of like 6 episodes, and I don't really have a good reason why. It's clearly a fantastic show. I just don't think it kind of... Okay, I have some explanation, but it's not a great explanation, I guess. I was getting the same vibes off of the hype as I did for Attack on Titan, and I did not like Attack on Titan. I do not like Attack on Titan. So I think it was the experience with something else that kind of impacted my experience with this one. But I think I might give it a shot once the series is done in its whole.
Fair. But now that we're in the anime adjacent corner, boys.
Sorry,
Fortnite
is that anime adjacent or is that just straight up anime corner? I don't know if you can clear
the We're deep in the anime corner, actually.
I don't know. Boys, I just like using the word adjacent. So I'm pretty sure there's a drinking game where every time I say it, you have to take a shot. And I'm sorry for everyone with upset stomachs right now. But the One Punch Man Fortnite collab launched earlier this week. And I want to talk about our main character, Satama. And essentially his character model has this reactive effect where he kind of distorts, glitches out randomly, or when he takes damage. And I think the implication from the community is that this isn't actually the Satama, but merely a hologram of him to kind of keep it true to the fact that, the One Punch Man never loses. And that's kind of the running lore, even the running gag in his anime. This, again, nothing confirmed, but this also reminds me of another community theory that Disney and Lucas won't allow for lightsabers to be pickaxes since that would make them feel weak. And again, go against lightsaber lore. Matt, when it comes to collaborations, especially in video games, how do you feel about remaining lore accurate to the source material in a collab?
It depends. I think it depends on how serious the game that the collab is coming to is. Like for something like Fortnite, I would have expected, Saitama to be able to die. But
yeah.
I feel like if he was into, I don't know, like Naruto, like Ninja Storm,
yeah.
I would expect Saitama to. It's more so like, oh, he's here for training or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess it really depends on the setting, and it's kind of weird because, to be fair, at least early on, Fortnite was supposed to be like a weird training hologram situation where
is that the lore?
Every time you die, you're kind of in the beginning just because. But then when actual lore happens, it's all about time loops and multiverses and trying to escape a time loop. But in the very beginning, when you died in Fortnite Battle Royale, your hologram would kind of just dissolve and like robots would kind of hover around you or something. But Rakush, similar question to you. When it comes to collabs, how lore accurate do you want them to be, and how lore accurate do you think these should be?
I think I'd be a hypocrite if I said I don't want things to be lore accurate, especially after the conversation we had around One Piece Treasure Cruise a couple of weeks back, where I didn't like how some legendary characters were being treated as fodder, essentially. So
yeah,
something like this to me actually is a little bit of a cool touch. Yeah.
Okay, fair. But yeah, I don't know. It's really weird to me just because with Fortnite, I think the very first time I talked to you guys about it on this show, I did equate it to being a toy box. This is essentially you bring all your different action figures together, and lore wise, it's really up to you to kind of map out what happens between all the toys in your toy box. But I feel like with Satama in particular, it's one of those things where I've seen a lot of people in the community ask, man, this should have just been like a filter or something you can toggle on and off. But at the same time, like it or not, even Epic Games are at the mercy of the license holders. And for you to have a property in a game, it's pretty much what they say goes a lot of the time, especially with kind of the more pricier licenses, especially something like Disney and Star Wars, where fans have been clamoring for the lightsabers to be pickaxes. But I don't know. It's weird with every time a new Star Wars character comes to the game that should have a lightsaber as a pickaxe, and then they'll have some random thing that's barely associated with them be their pickaxe, where I don't know, it's kind of weird to me. But then again, I'm not really playing Satama in Fortnite, so that doesn't bother me. But as if I was a fan, I would be kind of disappointed that he's randomly glitching out every now and then, lore aside. But that's your latest. What's up?
Sorry, out of curiosity, do they do anything similar with other like anime characters, like Goku in it, or
nope? This is the first time that, and of course there are two other One Punch characters like Genos and what's her the green hair lady, and they seem normal. Yeah, but they seem normal, no glitching effects. And it's Satama himself, which people are kind of bummed about, but it happens, I guess.
I guess it's like interesting which characters get that treatment and which don't. Yeah. Because if you tell me like Saitama's getting that treatment but Goku's not, like just as sort of like someone that has read both series, there's something about that just feels off.
Yeah. Especially, well, I guess to be fair, would you think, Rikusha, someone with also a fan of comics, would you think something like this would apply to any of the Marvel or DC characters? Or would you not bat an eye if it didn't?
I guess like the only one I can think of is someone like a Superman, right? Like, if, for example, they did something unique about Kryptonite pops up when he dies or something like that, maybe that's kind of like the equivalent of what they're doing with like Star Wars or with One Punch Man here, I guess. I wouldn't see it for everybody though. No, I think like it's just that there's certain power creep things which call for a thing like this. I guess the reason I was making the comparison between Goku and One Punch is because in theory, like they're both Shonen Jump series, I guess. Yeah. Sorry, I think One Punch is a Shonen Jump series. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Sorry, it's a Young Jump series. My bad. So it is a different franchise. So I guess different publisher. So yeah, I wonder if that was like an author request or if that was a publisher request, because that also is a little bit curious. But yeah, I don't know. Just an interesting thing, especially in sort of like this game where there's so many different franchises, and to see like where they actually appease like some requests and where they don't is a fascinating one.
Fair. Final question. Since the One Piece collab has been rumored for the longest time now, Rikush, which One Piece character in Fortnite would you die seeing having the gritty hit on them?
Oh god. If Goldie Roger gets the gritty hit on him, I think I might just have a heart attack.
Fair enough. But boys, now that we're now fully in the video game corner, there was an announcement also earlier this week. A game that I've talked about on and off throughout the Mistake Zone ever since it was announced. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this might have been something we discussed actually when we brought back the Mistake Zone for the first time after our hiatus. But the latest entry in the Skate series from EA, Skate, the free-to-play entry in the franchise, will begin its early access on September 16th. And so for the past couple of years, they had an insider program where you can sign up and do a bunch of play tests. And the NDA lifted for those play tests on August 29th. And essentially everyone in the Skate Insider program has access to the early access version of the game 2 weeks early. And as someone who has participated in the Skate Insider program, boys, gotta ask you, Matt, when it comes to early access games, I know I kind of ask you about this every time, a Hades comes out or so. But how much time do you personally put into an early access game versus kind of waiting for that 1.0 release?
I mean, it kind of depends on the type of game, but
Mm-hmm.
I will usually, when I first hear about a game that's in early access, and if I decide to go in on it, I will play all the content that I can in that is out at that point, and then hopefully that is not too different from or hopefully that is very different from what is in 1.0, because the more similar they are, the less likely I am to like replay it.
Okay.
I think like for me, kind of recent ones I talked about, like a Business and Dead Zone, are the kind of rare occurrence where I do kind of replay content that I've already played, because I'm doing that in a co-op sense, so I have somebody else to like play it with. But I don't know. I need them to be like particularly different, or I need to wait until full release, or else I think I'm not gonna get everything out of it.
Fair. And before I get into Skate, Rakush, what's your kind of relationship with early access games?
Famously don't like him. I don't know. I think like I personally don't really play a lot on Steam. I kind of mentioned this last week as well, where like a lot of the early access games live, a lot of these demos live that Matt's playing. Like I'm just not as active a gamer that like I'm gonna, go and seek out these early access games when I'm barely playing the finished product, or quote unquote finished product, so to speak. So it's tough for me to kind of be able to talk about sort of replaying things from that perspective, if that makes sense. But I also just kind of think in general, like I have never personally loved the concept of early access. Like we've talked about this on the show many iterations ago. I personally just have like, some issues still to this date with how the gamer's money, or like the purchaser's money, is used, and like what expectations are built off of that and things like that. So yeah, a whole different convo than we probably would have right now.
A whole different. But going back to Skate again, this is a franchise that I have a long history with. I think the first with my when I got an Xbox 360 for the first time, I think the first game I bought for it was BioShock, and to be honest, that launched around the same time the Skate 1 demo came out, and I essentially just played the Skate 1 demo was the first thing I played on that Xbox, and I played that way too long before I actually popped in BioShock. So when they announced that Skate was coming back, and then they would have an insider program for you to kind of test it out, I feel like that was something that I was really excited in, and that it would be something that I would kind of jump in every time that there was a different playtest and kind of see how this game got built, what they show to the audience, what they show to their playtesters, and kind of see how it takes shape, especially with the knowledge that this would eventually be a live service game. And I think, especially for the last year with the different playtests that have come out, the game has relatively remained the same, where, before, when the insider program first started, you were playing unfinished levels, you were skating on essentially geometry with no textures and just big blocky shapes, neighborhoods that would kind of be somewhat done and then just devolve into those gray black and white grids. And I think seeing the level evolve, seeing the world evolve, seeing different assets being implemented, I thought that was really cool to see, just from a curiosity standpoint. But I feel like for the last year with the playtest, it's been more or less the same, just gameplay being tightened up. But in terms of tutorial and level, it's been kind of the same that you're seeing in the early access for the last two entries. But I think that brings me to kind of the first issue I've had with the latest playtest as well, and now with the early access. Boys, when you first start up Skate, it will ask, hey, have you played a skate game before? And I put yes, I've played a skate game before, and then it lets me pick a controller if I want like the more kind of refined or simplified controls, or if I want the classic skate controls. And of course, I'll pick the classic skate controls. You would hope that this would bypass the tutorial. Let me just say, boys, I've replayed the new skate tutorial, I think at least 5 times, and I never want to play the skate tutorial ever again. I feel like it's just a really long tutorial. If it's trying to introduce you to the game, fine, but kind of as someone in the playtest, as someone who's played these games before, it just got annoying at some point where I feel like, I don't know if this is just me being a pro gamer trademark, but I feel like tutorials you should have an option to skip a tutorial. Matt, should you be able to skip tutorials if you want?
Maybe on sequel games, but I'll be honest, the amount of times that I see people complaining about, I don't know how to do this dumb thing, and it was their own tutorial and they just mash through it, like puts me on tilt so much.
Big fair. But
so
again,
that's how you feel when we play Monster Hunter.
Oh man. Oh man.
But I don't, as someone who's replayed this tutorial like half a dozen times now, I just want to bypass it. I just want to go into the world and skate, because this is essentially what the game is now, where again, I've tried to find games that have to scratch this itch that skate, or the hiatus of skate, has left me with. And while games like Session or Skater XL have come close, there's just something about how the gameplay in skate is that pseudo realistic, pseudo sim, but still arcadey gameplay. Just, I feel like it's such a tight game. It feels great. It looks great. And even though this is on from what they've said, a new engine being on the ground, built from the ground up, I feel like this has been the best that skate has ever played. It just feels good, and going around the world that they crafted, just trying to find places to do tricks off of, to do some cool lines, and then just go into the replay editor afterwards just to kind of edit around it and watch what you've done in different angles. That remains true to the core, and it feels great, better than ever. Where if you're just looking for a fun skating experience, this is definitely something I recommend checking out on September 16th when early access becomes available. But speaking about the world, I've said this before, especially when it comes to the Tony Hawk games, music plays such an important role in these types of games, in terms of just setting the vibe, introducing you to new music. And I feel like it does something that I want to get your thoughts on, where with skate, if you're skating around the world, you might see a speaker on a boardwalk or a skate shop playing music. So you can skate up to the speaker and hit a button that will essentially allow you to Shazam it. And it's like kind of catching a Pokemon, where you unlock this song and it will allow you to put it in the in-game playlist for you. So instead of, just going into the options menu and seeing what music is available, in a way, this is you playing Pokemon with music to unlock a custom soundtrack. But how do you feel about having to sort of work for the soundtrack?
I think that's an interesting concept. It depends on what the starting songs are. If there is, and also how difficult it is to get these speaker tracks and stuff like that. Like, are there some songs that are harder to get, unlocked or something like that? I'm curious about that progression, but it's a cool concept. I think it kind of makes the process a little bit more involved. And honestly, like you were talking about how important music is to some of these franchises for like skating, and I would say for sports games in general or sports adjacent games. And I think like kind of involving the player in unlocking these things, it's actually a pretty neat touch.
Yeah. Matt, does this do anything for you?
I mean, I think it'll only do anything for me if like there's also a chance that when you Shazam the song, it Shazams the wrong song.
That's actually pretty good as well.
It'd be a good goof.
Wait, why would you want it to Shazam the wrong song?
I don't know. If you're gonna go to the effort of like making the player character have to go to like a speaker and then Shazam the thing, I think it would be a good goof if like, I don't know, once in like, I don't every 50 Shazams of a song. I don't even know if there's 50 songs in this game, but like it just gives you the wrong song. And
wait, does that happen to you with Shazam?
For me, for Shazam, if it fails, actually no, I have gotten the wrong song with Shazam before, but it'll just give you, oh, I don't know what the song is, but I feel like that doesn't play as well in a game because it's already built in. But I don't know, it'd be a good goof if you could get like, I don't know, a secret song that way, or songs that aren't already in your song catalog, if that makes sense.
Maybe that's what happened with Hayashi and X Japan and Dandadan. Maybe that's how they found out it was plagiarizing.
But again, with Skate, it does a lot of like little things that I think are neat, like that speaker thing, or just going around the world. Like, in theory, a live service Skate game is something up my alley where I can just log in for a day, try to see what challenges have popped up, do a couple of runs, and then log out. But when you do have a live service game, there's some aspects that kind of stick out where, like, I can't stress enough, I feel like this is the best Skate has played. Especially, and it's just great to play something like this again in 2025. But when I think about the history of the Skate franchise and how kind of more about skating culture it was, and what I mean by that is with the first 3 Skate games, every time you started that up, a lot of things people were anticipating ever since the first one was the introduction movie. And here, each of the games started with essentially all the pro skaters in these funny situations, kind of leading one into the other, playing different characters or getting into mishaps, just kind of setting the vibe that, hey, this is a game that respects its pro skaters. This is a game that has them having fun, that doesn't take itself too seriously, and is about kind of skating culture. And that's, to me, what those introductions or those intro movies really represented, just a celebration of skating culture and the pros that are in it. And then when you start up Skate 2025, you kind of just get a montage of all these different clips from the first game, and then you have some behind the scene footage of, people doing animations, game dev, and all that. But so far, there hasn't been any kind of pro skaters in the game or being presented. And I think that's the thing that kind of caught me off guard, in that for a franchise that really promoted skate culture, there's something oddly sterile about Skate 2025, where, you're greeted by a app right off the rip, where before this would be your filmer or a skate photographer or just your buddy kind of guiding you around the city. And now it's kind of an app giving you an AR line to follow to kind of get to each of these different points. And then afterwards, you're introduced to the skate crew of the first area. And it's, the language being used just doesn't feel authentic to me, where it really gives the vibe of, hey, this is hello fellow kids writing kind of applied to these teen characters that are trying to get you to kind of rip sick tricks and whatnot, where it feels a lot less authentic than what I'm used to. And maybe that's just me kind of growing old and being nostalgic for previous games, but the gameplay is fine. No, the gameplay is great. I take that back. But it's just like the wrapper. And then you start diving into the fact that, wow, when it comes to kind of unlocking at least the free cosmetics, that's kind of in this weird loot box situation where every time you kind of level up your character level in a specific region, you'll unlock a new box that you can pay your in-game currency to kind of unlock a random cosmetic from that set. And then the more you level, the more different boxes that you can unlock, and you can kind of pick and choose what you unlock. Where, as someone who saw this in an early iteration in the playtest and always put down on the feedback that, hey, why don't we kind of tone this down somehow? That was kind of the one thing that I knew would be a losing battle. And then you kind of just go into the shop itself and you're seeing a lot of different brands and different things that are being sold for premium currency. Even though they've released an initial roadmap of all the different gameplay mechanics coming, new tricks, new areas, you still have that blurb of, oh, new collaborative brands are coming as well, where there's just something weird about seeing a game that really felt like it was celebrating skating culture growing up, and then for it to have the live service wrapper applied to it, there's just something icky about it that feels a bit, I don't know, fake. And I think that's the biggest bummer of me, where it was always the fear when it was announced that Skate would be a free-to-play title that, this would just be a vehicle for microtransactions. And now that early access is here, it's kind of out, and it kind of exactly that, without the pro skaters, without the pseudo storyline of you trying to become pro or build a skate team and get sweet footage. There's something sad about it, where it's one of those moments for me of you can't go back home because capitalism will come for us all. And as much as I'm having fun with the game, the core gameplay, the skating feels great. Once again, there's just something depressing about playing through Skate as a longtime Skate fan and not someone who kind of came to Skate 3 after, that brief period, all the different content creators were playing the bales or the glitchy stuff and whatnot. So if you're looking for a solid skating experience, gameplay wise, the Skate Play early access comes out September 16th, but just, I guess, a forewarning that this is going to be a free-to-play game, and the free-to-play game trappings are already showing, but hopefully some of the free cosmetics look pretty cool, and hopefully you can find some sweet lines to skate as well.
Sorry, Sharon, before we move on from Skate, because I think one of my takeaways from everything you've shared a lot of details for what is an early access game. Is there an actual release date for this? Because it just seems like that's a lot of things for an early access game.
Do you want me to be do you want the cynic Jaren, or do you want the kind of I'm just here for vibes Jaren, where I feel
the mood is cynic, so let's go cynic.
to kind of jump off your early access talk or your feelings towards early access, the cynic in me always thinks of early access being a way to kind of, how should I put this without sounding all doom and gloom, but to kind of sugarcoat potential criticisms of, hey, this is still a work in progress. We're working on it. Just wait it out with us. We appreciate your feedback. Hopefully we'll address it soon. Mm-hmm. Where it's hard for me to look if you don't have that developer pedigree, something like a Hades. I'll always look at an early access game with a bit of skepticism of how are they using this period? Is it something that is truly collaborative with its community? Something that, they're really transparent, they're really taking feedback to heart, they're really kind of engaging with the their fan base and really trying to make a good product? Or are you kind of just releasing a game and calling it early access just because you're trying to kind of game the system, if you will? And I know you asked, hey, this seems like a lot of content for an early access game. I want to say yes, but at the same time, this is still like, when I think about the previous Skate games, this is just like a fraction of the content that you would have got from a quote unquote full release. Where I think the basic gameplay loop is, hey, you're just going to each area, you're trying to complete as many challenges as you can to kind of build your rep there. And in so, building your rep in those areas allows you to buy more in-game loot boxes for that area. Where even though it kind of sounds like there's a lot, there really isn't when you kind of get down to it. In terms of a gameplay progression and in terms of what, you kind of expect from this franchise, where this really does feel like it's trying to be more of a social game, where it wants you to party up. It wants you to complete kind of quests together. It wants you to drop different items in the world and make, fun user generated skate parks or like edit lines where, yes, it's an early access game and they do have a developer roadmap with a major update coming in October, December, and then the third one, just going beyond. And then it's talking about all these different co-op modes and new tricks, but no little when it comes to kind of that single player experience that maybe fans of the original Skate are looking for. Where, again, I can say that the gameplay feels great as much as I want to, but at the same time, it also feels like this. It's like the monkey paw situation where I always wanted a new Skate game, but this is a Skate game for the Roblox generation, the Fortnite generation, the TikTok generation, not the, hey, let's all kind of get together and just skate around and doing tricks and whatnot. Where even though it wants to be this big multiplayer experience, there's just something about it that feels off when it comes to vibes. But then again, as long as I can do sweet 360 flips and tail slides, that's enough for me. But how long I play it before I kind of get burnt out without any real sense of progression is also, that's something that's weighing on my mind as well. That's kind of a long-winded way of me saying it. I might make it seem like there's a lot of content, but so far from the early access that I'm playing, there's not that much content in it. So take that for what you will.
No, I think that's valuable context, right? Because honestly, like, my takeaway from that last segment was, oh wow, this is a lot. But then, like, you explaining that, I think is, for me personally, a lot more point of view perspective than like just like, yeah, because even something as like, the concept of like Shazamming different music and stuff, I guess like I just made this connection in my head that like, oh, they've got licensed music in it, so that's gotta mean the game is close to release. If I don't know if that's like a weird correlation to make or not, but like, yeah, that was like an interesting sort of moment as well. So yeah, I don't know, everything you're saying now, it does feel a little bit more of a weird experience. And I don't know, I think we've talked about this on the show before, but like the whole concept of like microtransactions in an early access game does feel very skeevy. So yeah,
that's never great.
I don't like the implications of that.
Guys, how else am I supposed to get my Vans shoes that I own in real life and my Nike shoes that I own in real life in the game without spending $7 of EA bucks? But
I think also like part of the licensing that I'm curious about is typically a lot of these things get licensed for a certain time period. Sometimes for like live service games, like I'm thinking of Peter Dinklage with Destiny, for example. Like they removed his voice, I guess, for I don't know what reasons, probably rights or like residuals reasons or whatever.
Yeah, I think they just didn't want to keep paying for his voice. Because Destiny has a lot of voice content.
No, that's totally fair, right? But like if I'm thinking about like licensed music being a part of this, or like Vans shoes being a part of this, like maybe the Vans part not so much, but like this is early access. So like how do the payouts get impacted based on that? I don't know the business model. I don't know all of that stuff. But it's just like all the kind of questions that I'm thinking of based on what like Jaren you're describing here. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm looking at the roadmap, like the early access roadmap right now. And again, one thing I do kind of appreciate that they highlight is that each season does include new tracks added to a soundtrack where, again, I don't know about you guys, but back then when it comes for our blog, I wrote an entry about how much I love a custom soundtrack when it comes to, sports games or skating games or kind of extreme sports games or racing games, where I feel like for me in particular, a soundtrack really helps make it feel a lot more fresh. You can have all these different cars, you can have all these different skaters, and that would be fine. But if you were to, say, add a new soundtrack, I feel like that also makes it feel like a more recent game. So for them to kind of be updating new music actually makes me excited. But that aside, I'm looking at the early access roadmap, and yeah, there's really not much when it comes to single player content. You'll have your holiday events like a Skate-O-Ween or a Thanksgiving event, Skate Pass, which we all know what that is. Co-op game mode, seasonal events, party voice chat, new tricks, player created parts, open world collection, more character slots, i.e. tattoos, and new game modes, I guess. But that as that's a live service as roadmap that I've ever seen. So again, I feel like my bummerness is coming from the fact that I'm coming from a place that wants that old skate experience. But as much as I want to say, oh, I'm happy that there's just a new game in general, it is a bummer that you can't really go back to. But I guess this goes from, hey, maybe I will kind of check it out on a daily basis to, I feel like skating a few rounds here or skating for 5 or 10 minutes, doing some 360 flips and tail slides, and then just calling it a day where, boys, maybe live service games aren't for me anymore.
Jaren,
just because I can't keep up. What's up?
Is there a competitive part or like I guess a PvP part of Skate in this game? Or I guess it can be any of the other games as well. Like how deep did that go?
Did I ever tell you the story how I got all the achievements in the first Skate game? And my last one was, I believe, win 7 online games in a row. And
oh man, that sounds rough.
When I was on my 7th game, it was a race. And I was in 2nd place, and when I saw the first guy in 1st place crash, and it was just straight to the end, ooh, did that feel good, Matt? Did that feel good? But,
oh, man.
Yeah, there is technically a PvP aspect of, hey, we can do a trick battle, we can do a race, but I think one of my favorite multiplayer aspects of the game was kind of like the co-op challenges of, it was really Burnout reminiscent, where you would like go to this one area, and then it will have a bunch of goals for everyone to complete. Hey, everyone has to land this trick off this object. And sometimes I'd be the last one that just couldn't kickflip over a certain gap. And that would make me red, where I can see why they would pivot to a more multiplayer focused, whether it be the co-op stuff, whether it be like the trick battle stuff. But sometimes, guys, I just want to roleplay as a skater trying to build a team or trying to get sponsored. And I don't, from what I'm reading off the roadmap, I don't think that will be the case. But boys, I want to thank you and our friends for listening to me ramble on about Skate. Again, early access, September 16th. Great game. It's just a live service game in 2025, so take that for what you will.
Mm-hmm.
But boys and friends listening, we can't end the party just yet because it's that time of the week, the Don't Match Me Challenge, where every week one of us will bring to you, our friends, 5 questions, and all you have to do is come up with an answer that doesn't match our own. Of course, if you want to do normal mode, feel free just to try not to match my answers to the question. But if you're feeling a little spicy, you can try the hard mode and try not to match Matt and Rakush's answers as well. And of course, if a question is too specific, feel free to pause our audio diary, look up an answer, and hope whatever you look up doesn't match mine. But guys, I talked your ear off at length about the latest EA game, Skate, and you know what's coming. This week, I'm bringing you the EA Games Don't Match Me Challenge, not sponsored by EA Games. But right off the rip, first question should be an easy gimme. Boys, I believe I've used this question before, but name any Madden game. Name any Madden game.
I feel like this just comes down to pick a year. Is what it comes down to.
Pretty much.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, sure.
So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, friends, if you said Madden 06, you're out.
Oh.
Matt?
Mm-hmm.
What Madden play are you running?
Jared, I actually wanted to make sure that this was a Madden game because I went with Madden NFL 20 20 because I wasn't sure if a game came out in 2020 for the series just because of like COVID and whatnot.
Right,
I guess 2021 would have been the canceled one now that I think about it.
You're thinking of NBA Live. That's the franchise which has skipped years. Madden though, EA would go under if they stopped selling that game. I'm not exaggerating. EA would probably go under if they didn't sell that game in 1 year. Like, it would be disastrous. I'm going with 95 because typically
Classic.
for 95, I remember NHL 95.
Yep.
And I figured you guys wouldn't pick Madden 95 because of that. So, yeah.
Fair.
Why did you go with those 6?
I went with the last Madden I played.
Oh, okay. That answers that.
Oh, sure.
But speaking about soundtracks, I think Fall Out Boy was on that soundtrack. I think.
Classic, Jared.
I think I remember 05 because it had the Franz Ferdinand Take Me Home song.
Oddly enough, I you know what? I think that's a good Madden song to me personally.
Yeah.
Or maybe I just like
Honestly,
the song.
I feel like it's one of the best Madden songs. Maybe that's like a tier we
Madden
need
song.
to do in the future is tiering Madden songs.
Yeah, I think I associate that song too much to the PSP.
Oh, damn.
Take Me Out was the PSP like commercial song, right? I'm not mixing that up.
I think it was a PSP commercial song. That's a good pull. I personally go to Guitar Hero before PSP, but now that you mentioned PSP, that's actually a good point.
Oh, man.
But
Jared,
what's up?
I think we might need to do an episode where we tier all the Guitar Hero songs.
That's gonna take so long. There's too many.
I'm ready.
There's too
That's
many.
like-
Maybe we just pick our pick our top 10 songs and we just go with that.
Well, we need to workshop this. We need to workshop this.
Yeah.
But
Is this based on music? Is this based on note charts? Is this based on like
yeah.
All right,
the vibes that you had when you played the song?
All right. So question 2. Boys, if I think about EA sub-brands, I always think of my favorite, EA Sports Big. In another world, EA Sports Big would still be around and Skate would probably be under that umbrella. But, friends, name a game under the EA Sports Big brand. So, name a EA Sports Big title. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Friends, if you said one of my top 5 games all time, NBA Street Volume 2, you're out.
Oh.
Matt? What do you got?
Jared, I don't think that this was the one that really cemented, I guess, this series for me because of I think our relation to the series. But
yes,
I went with SSX Blur. I'm pretty sure Tricky was the one that we kept. I don't know. There was something about SSX Tricky that I feel like we have some connection over, and I can't specifically remember what it is right now. Or was it Blur?
Blur was the one where that was the first Wii game I bought because it was on sale in Best Buy and I didn't have a Wii, so I just gave it to you until, man, I love EA's SSX Tricky and SSX3. Rikush, what do you got?
I'm extremely surprised neither of you picked Def Jam Vendetta.
I mean, Fight for New York's in my top 10 all time. Vendetta being one of the first EA Sports big games. Also a good pick.
It's the franchise that I've been dying for a remake for, but it'll never happen. I think time and place is gone.
This is speaking about never being able to go back home. That's another segment for a future episode. But boys, another game that in another world would be, I believe, under the EA Sports big brand. But question 3, name a Need for Speed game.
I already know the answer for this one.
A Need for Speed game. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you said Need for Speed Heat, you're out.
Ooh.
Matt, do you have the Need for Speed?
Jared, I have the Need for Speed, but my Need for Speed is Underground.
Fair.
Ooh.
Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Rikush?
I went with Need for Speed Underground 2.
Ooh. Also a classic.
I'm pretty sure that's the one that had the Snoop Dogg version of Riders on the Storm.
Yep, it was.
Yeah, man. Such a good song. And also, honestly, probably one of my favorite songs to drive around to. That game was fantastic.
Good game. I am a Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005 fanboy forever, but I thought the 2015 reboot was pretty decent as well. But moving on, off the heels of the latest beta, question 4, name any Battlefield game.
Ooh.
Name any Battlefield game. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you said Battlefield Hardline, you're out. Matt, which Battlefield are you on?
I'm going with the Battlefield that I think I probably played the most. Battlefield Bad Company 2.
Good game.
Ooh,
good game.
I went with Bad Company 1.
Ooh.
Wow. Happened again.
Oh, man.
Damn, you guys are razor thin there. Razor thin. But, boys, when you think about EA Studios, one that is close to my heart, PopCap Games. So for question 5, and the last one, name any PopCap Games game. So name any title from PopCap Games. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boys, if you said Peggle 2, you're out.
Ooh.
And that? Which one you got?
I went with something that I talked about a bunch last week. I'm going with Plants vs. Zombies.
Okay.
Had a feeling you were going to go with that. I got Bejeweled Blitz.
Damn, Rikush, I thought you were going to say I had a feeling you were going for that, so I went with Plants vs. Zombies 2.
Would have been
so
a good
close.
goof.
Oh, man.
But I'm an honest guy.
Guys,
I'll answer honestly.
I really wish, just for the goof of match 3, that we all picked Bejeweled.
Oh, that would have been good.
That would be a good one. That would have been a good one. But that was a good Don't Match Me challenge. Hopefully you guys made it to the end and didn't match me. But if you did, you're my new best friend. So congratulations. But boys, another beefy episode full of me being sad about being old. But as always, I want to thank my best friend Matt Alba for joining me this week and editing this episode. Thanks, Matt.
Yo, thanks, man. As always, I want to, thank you, Jordan, for hosting this episode and bringing, I want to say, a majority of this episode with you.
No probs, Bob. I mean, I missed last week, so I had to tell you about Skate. But I also want to thank my other best friend in the whole wide world, Rakush, for joining us this week and telling us about the latest drama in his life. Thanks, Rakush.
You're welcome, Jern. But question, are you seriously off Bang Dream? For real this time?
Jared, you said you're gonna come clean. You said you're gonna be clean, man. Jared, please, Jared.
I'll crash out about how this Oshinoko collab was actually kind of bad. I'm actually legit. When I got the cards and I saw how, boys, I'm off Bang Dream iOS, but
iOS.
iOS. He specified
you showed the
iOS.
units for the Arknights collab, so when those units come to Arknights in 6 months, I'm gonna talk about them.
Wait, Jared, sorry. Who's coming to Arknights? Should I start saving?
Matt, there's a new band in Arknights. I mean, a new band in Bang Dream, and they're gonna come to Arknights before they come to the Bang Dream game.
What?
And that's the meme in the community right now.
Oh man, that's like a goof.
It's Majika, I think. It's one of the new bands that people love. It's the darker band. If My Go is more on the light drama side, they're more of the gothic drama side. So
okay.
Fans love them, and you can play them in Arknights C-End soon and in E-End in 6 months. Who knows when they'll come to Bang Dream proper. But that's it for now. But Matt, please take it away.
This has been Mistake Zone, and we're all out of real Saitamas in Fortnite.